Hello everyone, this is Michael with Fat Troll Gaming. So, I have basically leveled two characters now in last Epoch, an Acolyte and a Mage. I'm gonna farm a little bit with the Acolyte here, or maybe play some more, but basically, I haven't played a lot of last Epoch. I'm up to like 25 hours of gameplay into this game. So I'm not going to say, I'm an expert or anything into the gameplay, but from what I have been playing, it plays great. I enjoy it. As someone who plays a lot of action RPGs, the defenses are getting reworked in the next patch that's coming out soon. But the defenses just feel like weird, to say the least. Like on my mage, I made sure to keep these at around 40 to 50%, all of the armor and protections, which basically means there was about 50% mitigation. Like if you see this, reduces cold damage taken. Your 53 cold protection grants 53 effective health against cold damage. You have 338 maximum life, so this results in a percentage mitigation of 7%. Basically, you buff these up. These give you additional life against these particular damage types. Armor is physical, and that's all great, right? So basically, when you stacked protections, you were just stacking additional health, although specifically for one type of damage. They're changing this to resistances, which personally I feel is a good idea. This skill, because it comes to this second part. The second character I went with, instead of focusing on getting these up, as you see, these are all extremely low. I have instead focused on dodge and getting some glancing blows and just stacking pure health. No stacking protections, did not seek them out, nothing like that. Just straight up, let's stack as much health as we can, let's stack as much dodge as we can, and as glancing blow. And this resulted in a way tankier character. Like, protections are not needed, because every point of HP that you get is effectively 1 point of any of these. It's 1 point of all of these. Therefore, 1 health is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 times more effective than any one. 6% more effective than any one type of protection. So you don't need any of this. Ignore this. It's like I ignored this, and I had one death at the end at the Lagon boss fight because my dodge, I got one hit by a tidal wave because my dodge mechanic failed that one time. But as you can see, it's 71%. The chances of me getting actually hit are 29% on any attack that hits me. It's like a little over a fourth, about a third, like a little less than a third of a chance to hit me. So it's like, that's insane. This is a pure 71% damage reduction. That's what 71% dodge means. I'm negating 71% of the damage coming into me. And then 20% glancing blow. This halves it in. This, if I do get hit, I have a 20% chance of it being halved. Like, And this is low. I haven't even been trying to stack that. Like, that's just a little extra that I've got in on some gear. Like, if I was really going for it, I could stack glancing blow up to 100%. So I'm taking permanent 50% less damage. Then I could get this probably up to like 75%. I had it up there. And earlier in the campaign. And that is reducing by 3/4 that 50%. Like, you're looking at only 12.2% of the damage coming in at like 12 point what 12.2 12.5% of the damage coming in at any given point in time. Like, and that's just ignoring this. And then you can easily stack health because instead of trying to stack 7 different armors and protections, you just ignore that and stack straight health. And that's way more effective because you can get flat health and percentage health on items. Like, do I have an item that has that? No, I don't. I don't even have any good items for health, like with the percentage and the flat health. So, right now, before the patch comes out, ignore these. Like, that's all I have to say. You have a few more, probably have a few more days, maybe a week, before that comes out. So this isn't really effective, but like, I think it's a good idea to move to percentage resistances because right now they balance it all based off of a health pool, right? Because game developers, when they're looking at this, they say, okay, you should have your protections at a certain percentage of your health pool. So they figure in, say, they expect you to have an effective health pool against any damage type of like 1,000, right? And they expect you to have 30% of that coming from protections and a 700 health pool, right? These are just random numbers. Well, they base all damage around 1,000 health pool. So if you can get 1,000 health pool, you need 0 protections. You need 0 armor, 0 protections. And because that is 1, maybe 2 stats on your gear, instead of having to try and get 7, which they were originally expecting you to do, this allows you to game the system by getting other stats that make you more powerful and completely ignore the whole mechanic of the game. Like, I can effectively ignore this whole section of the game. Like, just delete that and I am perfectly fine. There are 0 resistances or armors and protections. Like, if you could totally get rid of this whole mechanic of the game and be fine. Like, just remove this, have just the additional defenses and health, and bam. This is like a red herring. This distracts you currently because they're not basing it off of protections, they're basing it off of total effective health. Now, switch this over to the percentage resistances that they're planning on implementing in the next patch. You have them capped out at 75%. Say, the devs say, oh, you should be resistance capped, right? And they balance everything around the idea that you are resistance capped. Okay? That means you have to hit resistance cap. You have to interact with this mechanic. Like, that forces you into messing with this instead of, if you are playing like right now, if you are messing with these and you are trying to get these to a certain point, you are playing the game wrong. These shouldn't matter. Like, this 7% here does not matter. And I'm going to show you. Like, any other game with that low of resistances I would be just destroyed doing in-game content. Like Path of Exile, if I have 7% fire resist after second attack of Katava, I might as well just stop playing the game because I'm not getting anywhere. I'm just going to die a horrible, terrible death. Like seriously, going to die a horrible, terrible death. This is a cool mechanic. Monolith of Faith. You just add modifiers and they keep stacking for so many maps or whatever. Let's see. I'll do that. Who cares, right? I'm going to show you here. I have crap as far as protections and armor go. Like, just crap stats. Now, my dodge is really high. My glancing blows is actually fairly low. Like, it's not, like, super high. I could get that all the way up to 100%, no problem. If I spent time to find better gear. But, you know, I'm in the process of, right? So, what we're going to go ahead and do here is this is just kind of a standard Alkalite build, I feel. We're going to cast Wandering Spirits on cooldown. See, I have a ton of them. And then throw some of these out. They stand in still, but they're good for grabbing aggro. Sometimes they'll just grab. But you see, I'm just face tanking. I have no idea where that's coming from, nor do I care. I drop my dot, which spreads. And the more dots I have, the more damage they do. But it's like... Oh, Storm Spires. That's what's causing that. So just my goal here is to come up here. And I want that to destroy it to get more of those things. That's cool. See, you can add set bonuses, which is even cooler. As you can see, like, things just die. Right? Like, I'm not even... having issues here, right? Like, ooh, big thingamags. Right? It's like, who cares? Oh, damn. You know, just stack some of these on here. Dodge. Let my minions just face tank this damage. You know, minions definitely help. I mean, I probably couldn't do this level of stuff face taking everything as a melee person. But, we can definitely, you know, just ignore those protection mechanics. Lincoln, and you see here, I don't even have that much health regen. Like, I am literally just sitting here. Oh no! Things are attacking me. Can you see, like, I could get away with having a lower health pool if I had more resistances, because it's a basically effective health. Those things are hitting me, my health pool is going down and then regenning. Just one moment here. Okay. Alright, I'm back. My wife has some of her crafting stuff in reach of a baby, and that hurt him, so I had to get him out of the room. But yeah, I'm totally ignoring protections, which in any game with like percentage resistances, you would not be able to ignore the mechanic completely. Now, some people would say, that's a good thing. That offers more choice. I'm not stuck into playing with protections, right? Like, I'm not stuck into making sure that my resistances are up, like I am with, say, Path of Exile. Sure. Um, but as it currently is implemented, it is actually inefficient to be running protections. Give me another minute here. Alright, never mind. So, with that, as you can see here, not really having an issue. And we are doing just fine. Like, we're not having any DPS issues. Like, sure, my DPS could be higher, but this is a build designed to get through the campaign quickly, not designed to run monoliths or arena, which are the two in-game systems. This is definitely not designed to run monoliths and arenas effectively. Which is going to get me to my next point. And that is, as someone just coming into the community, I supported this game early on, but didn't really play it because I just couldn't get over some of the things that were going on at the time. Didn't have the time, and I had not as good of a PC, so I was running on like ultra low graphics. And now I'm running on high, and even with all of these things going on, it's still running good. So I got a definite improvement to my PC, which helped a lot. So it's not the game's fault that I didn't play. It's more I had a cheap PC. I didn't have a cheap PC, but I had an old PC that was not capable of running this. So with that, I haven't been playing for very long, even though I've owned the game for quite a while. I just didn't have the PC strength to play. And then when I finally did get a PC, I've been playing other games. So, yeah. I'm just barely getting into it. So, as someone who is just now getting into the whole last Epoch game, alright, and looking at it from the perspective of someone new, I was like, you know what? I've played Path of Exile. I face rolled that and just forced learned it myself without any help whatsoever from without any help from anyone, right? And that took a while to get to the point where I could make my own builds and everything. And even still, like with that, I will um, look up build guides. Like playing Path of Exile, I have no issues looking up build guides. Sometimes if I can't find a build guide to do what I want it to do, then I will just make my own build, because I can do that too. Like, it takes some time, but I can make my own builds. So instead of worrying about that, I decided, hey, I played through as a mage, got through with little problems. There's quite a few deaths at the end game. I was dying even in normal mods. But and here's the loot explosion at the end. This is based on how many things you kill in the game, what you get out of this, and then I can make my own builds. I don't need build guides for Path of Exile, but that was a hard one skill to be able to do. That is not something that came easily or even came without a lot of effort. Like, you can't just pick up the game and be able to make builds. Like, that's just not how Path of Exile works. That being said, I'm shattering these for the set Glancing Blows, because that will be a cool item to grab. That's a good affix to have. It allows you to get maximum glancing blows with just a few items instead of having to have it on a bunch of items. So, that being said, where are we at? So, with that, I picked up a guide for my mage when I first played him, and I picked up a guide for the Acolyte. Now, when picking up the guide for the gonna have to clean this out again. When picking up the guide for the Acolyte, well, picking up the guide for the Mage, there was just, here's the skills you need, this is what you run, these are the skills you specialize into, and their specialization trees. Which is fine. It worked just fine. Once I got up to that point, it dealt plenty of damage. They say what gear you need. It was just basically, here, copy paste this build and you'll do awesome. It explained the interactions, but it didn't explain any of the defenses or why you should go with what you should have. It just said, keep your protections at around 40%, and grab some dodge where you can, grab some glancing blow where you can, and mostly keep your protections at around 40 to 50%. Okay, cool, right? Like, okay, jump in the game and do it. Well, leveling that, I had issues leveling it because some of the things you don't get until later on, uh, even one of the pieces of the unique gear require you to be able to kill an in-game boss in the monolith, and just until you get that unique piece of gear, you're really not doing enough damage. You don't have enough survivability with the protections, and leveling is just a pain. It's slow. It's arduous, right? So when I started the Alkalite, I looked up a build, and this is an actual build like I'm going for. Like, the build will eventually be the build for this will actually not involve spirit plague, will not involve these wandering spirits. These are the only three skills I'm currently using that will be in the final build. And what it basically does is you summon a bunch of these minions, and you use let's see here, some bunch of those minions. You use Rip Blood affecting, which this is built. You use this skill to affect your minions, and you use this area of effect, um, curse, which you make it an aura, to apply Rip Blood to your minions, and then Rip Blood here gives you a bunch of mana, gives you a bunch of health, gives you. Oh, well, we convert the health into ward, which is a temporary shield that has no cap, because your health has a cap of your health limit, and you actually don't even do damage with Rip Blood. Your wraiths do the damage, but because you have so much mana regen and ward as effective health pool, you are almost unkillable. Your mana is being replenished so quickly that you can always be mass casting more minions, and you get like 200 minions, and sure, each minion does like 100 damage, but you have 200 of them, so you're still getting, like millions of DPS because it doesn't matter. And because these minions tank stuff and act as barriers to other creatures, they have to kill it, and you basically run around in the middle of them and build a wall and just keep running around in a circle to apply and unapply the aura, which just keeps giving you more and more mana and health and ward and stuff. Like, it's ridiculous. And that's all you do. That's the build. It's some cool interactions. It'll be awesome. But because we are using with the wraiths, these are melee. Normally they're melee wraiths, and we double their damage, but make it so they can't move. So you need these idols right here, which I luckily have gotten 2 flame wraith idols. Though I'm going to look for putrid wraiths because they do poison damage, which is a dot, and that can stack infinitely, whereas the flame just does fireballs. And I think little poison dots will be way better than hitting stuff with fireballs. But this gives them a range attack, same with putrid, and that allows for that allows the build to function, right? Like, sure, I can start doing it right now once I gain another level in Bone Curse, which should be in my next little monolith run, and then I can start doing that. At which point, I need to switch out my gear because my gear currently is for um, running. My gear is currently for running the campaign. And that was the next thing I did. Was after I found what I wanted to do for in-game, I looked up a leveling guide for the Acolyte. And it turns out that if you want to be able to level the Acolyte, you do not want to do that build. Because, one, you don't get large idols until you don't get these adorn idols until like the last couple of acts of the campaign, which if you're following the build guide for this in-game build, you're going to have wraiths that can't move, and you won't even have Bone Curse being able to apply Rip Blood. Your Rip Blood won't be able to do any damage, right? Like, you'll be sitting there dying and not playing effectively, and it'll feel horrible. It'll feel like crap. Like, why am I even doing this? This feels like a piece of crap build. But I see it doing millions of DPS. Well, that's because it's an in-game build. It is not a leveling build. To level, you want to be running these Wandering Spirits. Because it's a skill. You just pop it. It reveals a bunch of these spirits. Like, as you can see, there's just tons of them. You can make them do range damage, and then they're hitting everything with a bunch of poison. Then you get this thing right here, Spirit Plague. And this skill right here with this node, Pestilence, increases global over time by 75% for every stack. Every time you've hit an enemy with Spirit Plague. This stacks over 4 seconds. I can get like 10 or 15 stacks of this. I can get 750% increased global damage over time. Guess what? Wandering Spirits is a damage over time skill. Therefore, it benefits from 750%. You turn it into poison damage. That's more damage over time. And just get as many of these as possible, and you will melt bosses. You will melt down anything that you need. All this is about getting as many spirits out as quickly so they can do a tiny, tiny, tiny poison dot, but that it can stack like 100 times. And then that tiny poison dot doesn't matter that it's tiny. It's stacking 100 times, and then you're multiplying it by 8. So, like, this right here will kill everything, and I just apply this, which does decent damage by itself. Also a damage over time. Slap a bunch of health and dodge, and bam, the campaign is trivialized. Like, it was super easy. Where I was having issues with my mage, I just kept moving with this, and just like, psh, spam this thing, everything dies. And this spreads, right? So, like, you hit it, the thing dies, it spreads to, like, 3 or 4 other things. That counts as new stacks in the last 4 seconds. Continues building that up. Like, this build can off-screen things. Like, and it's very passive. You just run through the campaign as quickly as you can. I got through the campaign on the Acolyte in about 3 hours. Doing all the side quests. Like, it's very easy to do with this beginner build, because this build requires no special gear. Everything runs eternally off of damage over time. Like, passive skills, I get a bunch of Lich skills. Not because I'm going to be using Lich. I actually use very little Lich passives in the end game. I use mostly Necromancer. But I get Spell Leech, so the spell is healing me. I get bonus intelligence, and I get a bunch of damage over time. Bonus damage. And flat increased damage from the Lich Tree. And then after I got all that, I just started doing what I'm going to be doing at the end game. Right? Like, with my build. And you know what? Got through the campaign a lot easier. Barely died. Super easy. Knew exactly what I was doing. Only used a couple of skills so I could be leveling my in-game skills. And that makes a good leveling build. But now I'm here at the Monolith of Fate, right? And you see I'm doing stuff just fine, but I'm not effectively farming the Monolith. The Monolith takes time to complete, and I want to kill as much if it's possible to make the loot chest at the end as big as I can. This build is not good at that. So, what I feel like people who are making content, and what I will start doing when I start making build guides for Last Epoch, is you need to have a full leveling guide. Not just here's the in-game, not just here is, your start, this is how you level through the axe. Like, leveling through the axe is important. In-game is important. But, like, first, I had to look at 2 different guides to get the beginning of the game and the end of the game. And this guide right here is not effective for my in-game because I'm a minion build, right? Like, this is great. Like, I'm doing tons of damage, got through the game effectively. But, what would be awesome is say, look, you're going to be using Rip Blood, you're going to be using Bone Curse, Transplant, and those are your 3 main skills that you're going to be using at in-game. Blood Rip, Bone Curse, and Summon Ray. Those are the 3 skills you're going to be using at in-game. So, you get Rip Blood at level 1. We're going to give you a build guide so that you're leveling Rip Blood. And from what the guy said, this is a standard Rip Blood way to play, right? So, you just hold off for like one of your last skill points to go into Marrow Drinker. Like, we're going to hold that off until the very end. Like, this will be one of your last points spent will be into Marrow Drinker. What you will instead, what you will be doing instead is you will be running this as your DP, your damage will have a slightly different one for Rip Blood. When you get to Bone Curse, we have a leveling Bone Curse tree, and then we'll tell you where to respect. When you get Wraith, or when you specialize in Wraith, we tell you when, and when to specialize in the other 2 skills. Because actually, my final build runs off of 1, 2, 3. These 3 skills are the only 3 skills that need to be specialized in. The other 2 slots are open. So why not have a build, a leveling build that is good at leveling, that you can then transition into your final in-game build. Like, that is more efficient than what I'm going to have to do now, which is once I have those 3 skills up to the point where I can use them in an in-game build, I then have to unspec a bunch of points, respec my character in a totally different way, and learn a whole new playstyle at in-game. Like, that's the issue, right? Like, I'm learning a new playstyle because the playstyle for in-game that is most efficient is totally different than the playstyle for leveling. And if the build guide had a total build guide that took you from level 1 and said, here is how you play from level 1 to get through the campaign. Here's the transition if there needs to be a transition build while you're farming the monolith and you don't have all the items that you need. And then this is the full in-game build once you have the items that you need. Like, that, I feel, would be a lot more easier to get people into Last Epoch, for them not to have issues leveling and possibly just toss the game because, hey, this is hard, like, this isn't making sense, I'm doing everything the guide tells me to do, I'm doing it step by step, and I'm face rolling the campaign. Like, this is way too hard. Like, this build is not getting me where I need to be. This sucks. You know, I have to have these uniques. How do I even get these uniques? Like, it's not telling you how to play the game. Like, people who are looking at build guides are looking up build guides because they're not sure how to do. It's not that they know how to do the campaign and they're just looking for an in-game, or they know how to do in-game but don't know how to level. They don't know how to go through the whole process. They haven't learned the mechanics to go through the whole process. You know, they don't know that armor and protections are basically a red herring in the game, and what you should be doing is stacking tons of dodge and glancing blows and health, and ignoring everything else. Like, and then getting damage stats. Like, honestly, like, this right here, this pair of gloves has nothing to do with a minion build. Has nothing to do even with my wandering spirits. This just has an insane amount of dodge rating and health on a pair of gloves that I got, that I can wear at level 8. And this is still, like, the best pair of gloves. I can't even make a pair of gloves that is better than this unique pair of gloves to getting my dodge rating. Like, to give you an idea, right? Here's my dodge rating at 71%. I take that off, I lose 9 percentage points. 9 percentage points. And I lose like 400 dodge. So to get those 9 percentage points back from removing this one piece of item, also lose 50. I lose more than 56, right? No, I lose 56 health. Maybe a little bit more because I think I have some percentage health somewhere. But yeah, I lose 50 something health. I lose about, let's see, 50. No, I lose 56 health. And I lose 400 something dodge. Like, on one piece of item, I would need a bunch of flat dodge. I would need a bunch of dodge rating. I would need a bunch of health. And then to make it better, I would need glancing blows as well. And then have it on a higher tier base. Like, that's the only way to stop this unique. Like, to beat this unique out. And that doesn't give me any damage. I have to devote this whole thing to defense because this is such a heavy defensive item for my current character. Like, what the crap? Like, this is insane. Right? Like, that's a crap ton. A crap ton of defense right there on one item. And I can't make a rare that can really compete with that. Not really. Like, I could find a rare with tier 7s that can compete with that, like, defensively. But not really. Like, and this belt is awesome as well, because it has poison on hit, which allows my little wandering spirits to poison and slow. it does good. Like Vipertail does a lot of bonus damage for me. Um, does a lot of good damage for me, right? And so does the dodge rating. That's look at that. That's 3. Like that's bonus. I have dodge rings. Like I have a bunch of dodge. Like that's where all my defenses are. And this is all like fairly crap gear that I got like early in the game. That I've just steadily improved the dodge rating on and the health. And look, I'm running in-game content with crap that I got as a low-level character. Woohoo! Like, I got this in the council chambers. I got this in the council chambers. I got that in the council chambers. I think I got it a little bit after going through the council chambers. This I got in the council chambers. This I got just recently. This I got in the campaign. This I got to drop in the campaign. This was in the council chambers. Like, to give you an idea, like, most of this stuff, it was like Act 1, Act 2 gear. That's what most of this is like Act 1 and Act 2 gear. And I'm running in-game with it. Because dodge is a broken mechanic in this game. Like, resistances don't matter. I mean, protections don't matter. It's all health and dodge and cleansing blows. Like, that's what you should be running. That being said, I think the resistance changes, switching from protections to resistances is going to be awesome. But we need more complete build guides. Like, we need build guides that give you a build that easily transitions from leveling and completing the campaign to farming the monolith for your in-game gear and then switching over to a final in-game push build, like when you have your ideal gear. This isn't Path of Exile, where getting ideal gear is a random crapshoot lottery. I've played through as 2 characters. I've already gotten 2 of these idols, and there's no way to craft idols or to buy them. Like, all you can do is find them and look. I found the 2 idols that I need for this build. It's not that hard. It takes a little bit of farming. Not a ton of farming. Like, just a little bit of farming. And you have it, right? There aren't very... Oh, excuse me. There aren't very many unique items. So you can get good unique items fairly easily. And you can gamble for them, which makes it even easier if you know what you're looking for. The issue, I'm going to show why all of my health potions are gone. I've just been pressing random buttons, I guess. The issue is build guides just need to be complete. For beginning, mid, and end. That way there's a clear progression. You know where you're going to be respecing. You know how you're going to level, what you start off with, how you play. And there isn't massive jarring disconnects from the beginning to the end. And after this next patch, with the defensive changes, you know, I'm going to go ahead and dig further into each of the characters, their different play styles, come up with some builds of my own, and my build guides will be longer probably, but I'm going to make sure that they are complete leveling guides from taking you from level 1 to level 100 with all of the transitional gear and steps along the way so that you can effectively farm, you can effectively get through the campaign, you can effectively farm the Monolith of Fate and get your in-game gear to become an overpowered whatever, um, you know, whatever class you want, so that you can run to like wave crazy number in the arena or complete level 100 plus zones, in the Monolith of Fate. So that's my video for today. I will be posting this up on YouTube. I know that I'm streaming this. And then I'm going to go ahead and stream some of the Monolith of Faith and me farming and switching over to my in-game build, which will take some time, but shouldn't take too long. Thank you all, and have a good day.